Llandow is the circuit hosting the third round of the Easykart UK Championship for 2015, and if the first two rounds are anything to go by, this tight and technical circuit should see some exciting action. Easykart is considered to be one of the most competitive championships in karting, not least because each competitor uses the same chassis and engine combination. But in motorsport there are always those who will try to gain an edge in whatever way they can. This is where scrutineering comes in, and earlier Martin caught up with the Easykart UK importer Andy Cox to ask how he ensures a level playing field for all.
Andy, it's race day. Just talk us through the procedures for what goes on in the morning.
Okay, so yesterday we had practice, so everyone knows the circuit now. So this morning has been about getting signed on in the office with John, and now obviously taking their kart to scrutineering, which is basic safety checks, making sure the driver's the right weight and stuff like that. And then obviously after that you've got your warm up, and then after that your time qualifying.
So your Easykart scrutineer, what's his involvement? What does he have to do?
Well, Barry, has been with the championship for many years, very, very experienced, and scrutineering obviously is safety, but also, which is paramount to us, is the legality of all the karts being the same. I'm sure if you speak to Barry, he can obviously point out, and tell you a bit more about that. But essentially, it's making sure that the karts meet all the technical regulations.
Well, I'm the championship scrutineer for Easykart and have been since it started. And basically, what we're doing is trying to make it a safe and even playing field for everybody. Before the karts go out onto the circuit, we do a safety check that checks that they've got all the necessary safety equipment, the crash helmets, their overalls are all up to a standard. We check that the karts are all assembled to a standard. They've got to have secondary brake cables, they've got to have all the racing tyres that they're allowed to use during the day, all have to be marked and numbered so that we know they're only just using the one set of tyres. Just trying to make it safe and equal for everybody across each field, basically.
So time for action here at Llandow. First up, it's the Easy Cadet Championship with George Evans and Harry Graham, Tyrone Stansfield and Joe Sheppy on row 2, Freddie Bates, the rookie, and Christian Lilly on row 3, Morgan Root and Georgie Anker, Theo Edgerton starting there in 9th place. Keep an eye on Ewan Johnson from P12. He could be a hard charger through this race as they come out of Raymond's and into the start-finish straight. Away we go, and already it's a strong start from the E-plate. Up to the lead comes George Evans. Looks to me as though already he's got a play to make in this one. He could well disappear if they're not careful. On board with Theo Edgerton. Great battle here between Ewan Johnson and Dylan Reid. We're just watching, and it looks as though Johnson has got the better of him on the first lap, certainly for the moment at least. Nice spread through the field as they all jostle for position, but it is the E-plate. George Evans who leads the way here. Harry Graham right on his tail in 2nd position, and 3rd place, that's Joe Sheppy. So a great start on the first lap. No major dramas, but some great racing to be had. Tyrone Stansfield in the 4 is there in P4 at the moment. So looking at Dylan Reid back on board with Theo Edgerton, but there's Reid, the 12-year-old, Team Sport National Indoor Karting Championship winner in 2013. Very close battle this for 2nd place out of Raymond's, and it's going to be close to see. Is Joe Sheppy going to get the upper hand here on Harry Graham? At the moment, the answer is no, but he's trying every trick in the book. So Dylan Reid just hanging on in front of the man we're on board with, Theo Edgerton, as they make their way through the hook once again. And that man in front of them, Ewan Johnson, just holding his position at the moment. It's got to be well timed if you're going to make an overtaking move down towards the lower stages of the course. Here's Harry Graham. If it stays as it is, the number 9 will actually move up to 2nd in the championship. So it's very important that he remains consistent throughout. Up the Spitfire straight down to the Dell, and Johnson making a move. That was a very tight battle there, but he managed to make the space on Morgan Root, and he moves up another place. So very nicely timed there, and that puts him up into 7th place, I believe. Joe Sheppy, it's important for him to do well, the 9-year-old. If it stays like this, he moves up into the top 6 himself. Back on board with Edgerton, just outside the top 6 this battle. And into the hook once again. Very tricky technical part of the lap this. A quick right and then in a very tight left, which goes on and on forever. Here's the leaders once again. The E-plate Evans from Graham and Sheppy. Now, where's Georgianka? There he is. He was leading the championship coming into this weekend, but if he stays where he is, which is currently 7th position, he's going to drop to P3 in the championship, so he needs to find a bit more pace. Morgan Root there just in front of the 56 of Dylan Reed as we go back on board with Edgerton. Looked as though Theo Edgerton was actually making the move on Dylan Reed there. Very nicely done, if he managed to pull that off. Down the hanger straight once more. George Evans on the cusp of becoming the championship leader if he manages to stay where he is. Long way to go though, of course, but Graham and Sheppy are not going to let him rest for a moment, but they are starting to pull away a little bit, these three, on Tyrone Stansfield, Christian Lilly and the man in 6th place, Freddie Bates. Although, having said that, the last couple of corners, they've tightened up again. Christian Lilly, the man from Brentwood, he was the driver of the day at this circuit last year, and he certainly seems to be making a play for that title again. Look, the top 3 desperately trying to edge away, and the top 6 have completely disappeared from Anchor & Co. Ewan Johnson having to battle with Morgan Root for 8th position just behind Georgianka. So, very interesting battle. We're back on board with that battle. Theo Edgerton there in 10th position at the moment, just in behind Morgan Root, and the leaders have got very tight in. Joe Sheppy starting to make an attack on Harry Graham, and I think I know why. With those 3 just behind them, they need to start pushing. Here we go up the inside. Graham has a look, but Evans is able to defend very nicely there. Sheppy might get the undercut out of Raymond's, and down the straight. No, he doesn't. Great battle, and they seem to have pulled away once more. So back on board with Theo Edgerton as he watches these 2, Ewan Johnson and Morgan Root, still scrapping for position in 8th place. Here comes Sheppy on the inside. Beautifully done. That was very nice indeed. Into Surtees and out of McQuarters. And we got a great battle in the same corner just a little bit further back. Johnson managing to defend from Morgan Root, and that's tightening up the battle for 8th place. So Sheppy now into 2nd position. What has Harry Graham got in response? Here comes Root on the inside of Ewan Johnson. There's a little tap of the wheels, a little tap again, but that's okay. That's fairly clean. Up the inside, very nicely done. That was very disciplinarian driving, and already Sheppy is having to defend. Where on earth is he going? The circuit is the other way around. Yeah, the racing line's the other side of the track there, Joe. But he obviously decides that 2nd place is worth defending. This is unbelievable. Evans is already getting away. Well, this is bizarre. It's certainly a very early point in the race to start defending, especially when he was right on the tail of Evans for quite a long period in the race. Back on board with Edgerton. Root and Johnson still battling. Looks like Root's finally got him, but that battle for 2nd place is really tight now. Sheppy's defending has actually brought Stansfield, Lilly and Bates back into the battle, which is now for 2nd place. 5 karts in it. The leader, Evans, has got an 8 or 9 kart advantage at this stage, so I'm not quite sure what Sheppy's playing at defending now. He needs to attack. Here's Edgerton, out of Chandler's into the Dell. Can't quite make the move on Ewan Johnson, but you definitely get him threatening. Again, Sheppy's defending to the right of the circuit on the way into Raymond's. That is so early in the race to be doing that, and it's left him out wide. Graham's got a chance here. Ooh, you have to be very brave to go for it on the inside of the kink. And it looks like Edgerton's got someone inside. That's the 63 of Oliver Gray. He made the move at Raymond's. Nicely timed, I have to say. He was so busy focusing on Ewan Johnson, he didn't even see Gray coming. And there goes Graham into 2nd position once again. He's left it a little bit wide on the exit. Sheppy might get the place, but no, I think Stansfield's actually going to get through. There's Oliver Hunt in the 75, just trying to get up to speed once again. So back on board with Edgerton as he goes on the inside of Oliver Gray. Don't forget, he's the man who won last year's Win an Easykart competition. So it's almost a scholarship he's basically got for this year. Fantastic battle list for 2nd place. And actually, Sheppy losing that 2nd place to Graham might actually help him. Because now, what on earth is going on? Still defending as Stansfield tries to come through. And we're almost 4 wide on the run to Raymond's. Now we've got Lilly and Bates battling together. This is bizarre, defending at this stage from Sheppy. And look, that's allowed Evans to disappear. Graham has now gone through. I was going to say that letting Graham through can actually help them get closer to the leader because they could help each other by pushing each other forward. But it seems as though Sheppy hasn't got that memo. So now he's down to 3rd position and defending again. Now here comes Stansfield, the young man from Braintree, the 12-year-old. And he's actually giving him the push signal. It's almost like, come on, we need to get after these guys here out in front, and we've lost our chance to go for the win. back on board with Edgerton. He's trying every move possible to get past Ewan Johnson. There just isn't space. There isn't a way through at the moment. And George Evans, out in front in the E-plate, is absolutely lapping it up. He must be thinking it's an early birthday present coming for him here. Very close indeed. Christian Lilly closing up on Tyrone Stansfield. And even now the 30 of Freddie Bates is struggling a little bit to hang on to these 5. Back on board with Edgerton, very close out of Raymond's. He might get the chance into the hook on the right-hander. You've got to be brave to hold it together. Johnson defends nicely. This is a cracking battle in the midfield. That's what I love about Easykart. You get battles at the front and battles in the mid-pack as well. And Sheppy looking over his shoulder. Come on, Tyrone, help me out. It's a bit late now, my friend. You've lost a huge amount of time to the leaders. You're going to have to hope that third position is all you can get. Edgerton on the inside. Once again, into Chandler's. Decisive move, and finally he gets through. Ewan Johnson's going to have to find something special. Graham looks behind him. I think he's a little bit stunned at how big a gap he's got. Back to third position. Sheppy, Stansfield and Bates. Lilly there in 5th position. I'm actually a little bit surprised that Freddie Bates has fallen off the pace a little bit there in 6th position. He seems to have lost a huge chunk of time. Not quite sure where that's happened. And we're back on board with Edgerton, and Johnson's found his way back again. This is brilliant, and into the inside line, back again into the fight comes Dylan Reid. He makes his way through and says, boys, this is a very good battle, but I can go faster than both of you, and I'm going to make sure I get through before you can even blink. So again, Sheppy looks over his shoulder, just trying to read where Stansfield is, but they've spread out a little bit. It's not quite as intense as it was before, and this is not helping Sheppy. It looks as if third position is all he can hope for in this race now. 4th place, though, Tyrone Stansfield. He's going to want to get through a little bit further back in the pack. This is still the battle for 8th place. Johnson, Reid, Edgerton, who we've been riding on board with, and just behind them, I think that will be the number 8 of Morgan Root. On board with Edgerton. Having a look on the inside. That was a nice attempt from Dylan Reid, but it's not quite going to work on this occasion. Ewan Johnson just holding him off for the moment. And again, Sheppy looks behind as if to say, oh, come on, guys, help me out. I'm afraid you missed that boat, my friend. Looking at his pace, I'm starting to think it might be a mechanical issue Sheppy's dealing with here, having to settle for third position perhaps, because we know how good a quality driver he is. Just remember round 1, that 4-into-1 man move at Wilkins at Shennington, and he appeared up the inside of a 3-car wide fight and went, well, if that's how we're going to play it, I'll take you all on. And he managed to get that position and into the lead. Joe Sheppy, we know he's a sensational racer, so it's got to be some kind of mechanical defect here that's keeping him from the back of 2nd place man Harry Graham at the moment. So Dylan Reid having a look on the inside of Johnson. Oh, that was very nice. He managed to get him on the slipstream. Now he's on the inside line at Raymond's. Can Johnson get the undercut? Yes, typical karting move that. Very nicely handled as the E-plate out in front is starting to come up to back markers. So they're starting to pick their way through the traffic. Graham gets to move around the outside. They've got to be careful how much time they lose here. Looks as though Sheppy's got through no problem, and look at that. He timed that absolutely to perfection, because now he's made the break from Stansfield, Lilly and Bates in 4th, 5th and 6th. That's actually given him a guaranteed podium, looking at the way things are shaping up at the moment. So that's a good comeback from Sheppy. Very nicely timed there, and good strategy. Meanwhile, Edgerton's made the move on the 56 of Dylan Reid, very nicely into Chandler's, and again, he's going to try and step up the attack on Ewan Johnson, and look how far back Stansfield and Lilly are now. He's done a cracking job there, Sheppy. Read the traffic very well considering, and he's now got himself back onto, actually now here he comes again, onto the back of Harry Graham. So Graham lost a bit of time there going through the back markers, and now he's actually struggling. Sheppy is on the rebound here. That's what we like to see, a bit more battling through the field. And it looks to me as though the leader, George Evans, actually lost some time in the traffic there. So 2nd and 3rd place. I don't think this is over yet. There's Stansfield signalling to Lilly. Come on, we need to get closer to these guys. They've disappeared. We need to get back into this fight for 2nd place. And actually, it's looking like a 3-way fight for the victory again as Edgerton gets his move on the inside of Johnson. Surely that's going to be finished into Chandler's. He's done it again. Very nicely done. But this time he needs to hold the place on the run to the Dell, because we know how good Ewan Johnson is at coming back. Up the inside comes Lilly, and Stansfield's back on the inside again. They're battling for 4th position. Come on, guys. You need to push each other forward. You need to cooperate here if you're going to get a podium. And they're currently swapping positions, but that might just give them the motivation and the instinct to start pushing a little bit more. That might have just given them a bit of a wake-up call, although Stansfield is actually starting to defend the man from Braintree in 4th place. That's interesting. Sixth position behind them. Freddie Bates seems to have fallen away from the pack a bit. Look, Tyrone, he's just trying to look over his shoulder to Lily as if to say, come on, you don't need to battle me. We need to push each other forward here. We could still get a podium. Evans is losing some time here. Look at the gap. Next time, hopefully we'll get another shot of the leaders very quickly, but Evans has only got about a 3-kart lead again. Look, Graham is right there. That is amazing. Graham has really caught him up there. Evans is now really struggling to hold on to this lead. I wonder, when he got that advantage, did he push the tyres just a little bit too hard? Because we've only got 2 laps to go in this race, and Graham is back in the hunt for victory all of a sudden. And it looks to me as though Sheppy, if they battle for position, Joe Sheppy could well steal the thunder here. He's actually got himself back into a very strong position in third. Stansfield and Lilly, I think they're too far back now to challenge for the podium. But it's these 3, and it is going to be a 3-way battle for victory at this rate. Into Chandler's, down the stretch once again towards the Dell, out of the Spitfire straight, into the right, into the left. And it looks to me as though Stansfield and Bates, Lilly, sorry, they're just too far back. Back onto the hanger straight once again. And is this going to be the moment Graham's going to try and make the move? I think he might wait until the next lap, you know. I think he might try a last corner manoeuvre, but he is well poised to steal this victory away. It could happen. Last lap, here we go. And this is now all on Harry Graham. Can he snatch the victory from under George Evans? Well, he's certainly going fast enough, 50.852, that's the fastest lap of the race, and he is doing his utmost to get past this man on the final lap. He's not going for it yet, he's just letting him know he's there. Some great battling so far. They make their run out of Lancaster, down towards Chandler's again, and he's not going for it yet. Harry Graham, he's timing it right, and Evans knows he's got to put it absolutely spot on around every corner, through the Dell, through Diggers, tight right, and back onto the hanger straight. Now or never, Harry. You've got one chance here, and he's going for it. Evans is trying to defend and also give him enough room to manoeuvre. Graham's backed out of it. He's going to try and get the switch back. It's going to be side by side to the line. Who's going to get it? It's Evans. He just snatches it. Absolutely brilliant work there from the E-plate. George Evans just defending at the end of the race there. Graham in second, Sheppy third, from Stansfield, Lilly and Bates, with Morgan Root coming home in 7th place, ahead of Georgie Anker, Theo Edgerton and Ewan Johnson. Another cracking battle, but it's the E-plate who comes out on top. Fantastic. After a brilliant race, John Viger caught up with our Easykart Cadet race winner.
George, you've done it again. This is 2 out of 3. Did you enjoy yourself today?
Yeah, really good. Quite tight with Harry Graham. Yeah,
absolutely. He did actually catch up with you at the end. You got away around about sort of halfway through the race and looked like you was going to get an easy win, but Harry did catch up at the end, so it was a little bit nervy, but you held on for the win.
Yeah, right, come around that last corner, like just jumping off in the seat, trying to get off the corner, try and get to the flag.
Yeah, absolutely. We did see that as well, and I was commentating on that one. But listen, terrific. Well done indeed. Have you been to Rowra before, the next round?
No.
Okay, it's a new track for you then, which is going to be interesting. It's probably a new track for most of the cadets, but it is a great circuit. But listen, well done indeed, and congratulations on your win. Well done.
Thank you.
So Tyrone Stansfield just outside the top 4, still pushing after Ewan Johnson. Again, very close indeed in the championship, those two. Georgie Anker drops to 3rd in the points table. Harry Graham just in behind our new championship leader, the E-plate, George Evans. Coming up in part 2, juniors.